shadow of the panels with the sun and worse weather. You can see the lights to a small family farm like ourselves.
And in the near future, if you have 100 acres of solar farm panels in your land, does that make you a power company rather than a farm?
Most farming processes are only harvesting the sunshine. You know, it's the power of the sun that's fueling everything we produce. So it's just a different way of
their livelihood, or even a severe threat to tenant farmers, those who rent the land they farm from its owner, can see their livelihood disappear when solar panels, or if they lose just a chunk of land, it can make the rest of their farm uneconomic. Emma Skirby is a tenant farmer in North Yorkshire who's fighting the installation of solar panels on land she farms.
We were informed by the landlord's agent that they wanted to put almost half of our agricultural land down to a solar scheme. We're a small farm, we farm 280 acres in Old Malton, so that would have been a huge impact on the financial viability of our business.
The argument is made, obviously, that solar power will prove hugely useful to the country, and that it is, as you know, green, and once you set the panels down, pretty much for what's not to like.
I don't disagree with the principle of the development. What I do disagree with is putting it on best farmland. There is plenty of poor agricultural land that would be more suitable. I want to see enforceable planning policy that prevents this gold rush of solar applications that we're seeing at the moment.
Advocates of solar energy say this is temporary as well. You know, when you can put the solar panels down, you can bring them up again, it will need to get back down. Farmers Union wants to strike a balance, acknowledging the need for farmers to diversify their income whilst protecting productive land and bolstering food security. David Ekstrom is an urban and cattle farmer who has solar panels on his farm shed. He's also the National Farmers Union deputy.
The NFU is really clear on this. We support solar panels, but we also think that the best land for food production should be kept for just that. If we solve our energy problems and offshore our food production, we will achieve nothing. So yeah, we are very clear that we support solar panels. They've got to be in the right place. Part of the problem is that too often the location of some of the solar panels is driven by what grid connection you can get rather than the best place to put the solar panels. You know, we have outdated grid specifications.
From the seems to be more broadly encouraging of solar energy production, putting solar panels out on agricultural land. Is there a sign you want from the government, or a policy that you want from the government that clearly indicate what the direction should be?
Yes, absolutely. There's some clear things they can do. One is prioritise the solar panel rooftops. There's lots of farms and industrial buildings that could have solar panels on them. Have a clear framework for decisions on where to put solar panels that does reserve the best land for food production. And then where there are solar panels, the local community, tenants, the people that are affected by these solar panels going in are probably looked after. We've seen some very high profile cases where tenants have been impacted by a large solar farm going in. We think they should be treated well as part of the process.
We spoke to a tenant farmer whose land is under threat from solar panels. The landlord wants to put solar panels on his project. It's very hard, isn't it, for tenant farmers if suddenly their landlord just says, sorry, I've got better things to do with that.
Look, if a landlord wants to choose to put solar panels on their farm, that is their right. What we do advocate for is fair treatment of the tenant. And quite often in these cases, what's very difficult is if it makes your farm uneconomical, that's where it gets difficult. So you do have to look at the bigger picture for a tenant that's affected, not just on the area that goes under the solar panels, but that should be part of a sensible planning process, looking after those that are affected by where the solar panels go.
Was David Exwood, farmer and deputy president of the National Forest. The heavens are ablaze with excitement at the moment. Not just vivid red sunsets and sunrises, but also a supermoon and a blue moon. The blue moon will not be blue, whilst the red skies are and will be red. When it's going on, and why we are joined by Professor Catherine Higgins, who is the Astronomer Royal for Scotland. Good afternoon, Catherine.
Good afternoon, Johnny. Will you be moon gazing?
I certainly will. If you can explain it to me properly. Can we start with the red skies? We get the some of this. The red skies are because of fires I read in North America. But I mean, that's not the fire being reflected in the skies. Why do they end up red as a result of fires so far away?
Yeah, so it's strange to think about it, but the smoke particles that have been created in these dense forest fires in North America have made their way and get to flow. They're currently in the atmosphere above us here in the UK. And so that's why the gorgeous red sunset, the sunrises are looking even redder than normal at the moment. And at the moment, unfortunately, the UK is covered with clouds and it's due to clear until midnight. And I think that weather pattern is probably going to blow all those particles away again. But that will explain why people have seen such gorgeous sunsets for the last few days.
And tell me about the supermoon. It's a very big moon.
All right. Yeah, so in my opinion, any full moon is super. But tonight's full moon is known as a supermoon. So the moon orbits the Earth once every 27 days, and depending on where the moon is relative to the Earth and the Sun, we either see the Earth-facing side of the moon fully illuminated, that's a full moon, or we see it as a half moon or a new moon, that's a full moon. Now that orbit, as the way the moon goes around the Earth, isn't a perfect circle, so sometimes it's slightly closer to the Earth than the other times. And when we get the moon at its closest point to the Earth, and its Earth-facing side is fully illuminated, the full moon, we call it a supermoon. But I don't want to do too much misadvertising here. It's because it's closer, it's slightly brighter. It's only 15% brighter, so I personally can't tell the difference between a supermoon and a full moon. But please don't use that as an excuse to not go and look at the full moon. Just off with the binoculars, check out the grey mare, the trees that are covered out, or being near the volcanic activity on the moon. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at, and I can't encourage you more to go out and look at this super full moon.
Okay, my last daft question of this interview. It's not just a supermoon, it's a blue moon, but it's not actually blue.
Yes, more confusing labelling from the astronomy community, I'm afraid. So, when I was talking about the changes from the full moon to the half moon to the new moon and back again, that takes 29 and a half days. So some calendar years we have 12 full moons, and other calendar years we have 13 full moons. Now, the one of those, when it says year where we've got 13 full moons, one of them is known as a blue moon. The actual definition is boringly complicated, but it depends on where the full moons lie relative to the solstice, the longest and shortest day of the year, and the equinox. And tonight's full moon is the third full moon after the summer solstice and before the autumn equinox. And so that's why it's known as the full moon. It's not blue, but Johnny, you can still go out and you can sing Blue Moon to your heart's content at the moon and enjoy how beautiful it is. Even though it's not visibility, it is one of those rare astronomical that we've given it a name. But, unfortunately slightly misleading.
You're determined to get me outside tonight, gazing up the moon. I will urge all of our listeners to, and we'll get you on to explain the rules of cricket later. Professor Haynes, such a joy to have you on the programme. Thank you so much. Let's have a quick look at our main headlines. Emergency measures to ease prison overcrowding are in place across central and northern parts of England as more people are sentenced for their part in the recent disorder. Downing Street said the measures will be in place for the next few weeks. A body has been found after a luxury yacht with British passengers on board sank off the coast of Italy. PM is at 5. This is Johnny Diamond. That's the world at almost 1:45. After last night's lunar blush, we leave you with the wonderful Nick Drake and Pink Moon.
To what we've got now, because at the moment it's a Victorian ethos, isn't it?
It is a Victorian ethos, and I also think, and I'm probably guilty of this myself, that there is a sense with prisons of out of sight, out of mind, isn't there? In a way that isn't the case in, say, hospitals or schools or other institutional type places. But there's a sense that prison as well. So what if they're suffering?
Well,
there is, isn't there? We're probably all guilty of that.
What we've had the last 14 years of, haven't we? It's knock them up, throw away the key. But like I say, it doesn't work. The reoffending.
I think that's right for very serious offenders. Locking up and throwing away the key.
Look. People who commit heinous crimes, are crimes against, the person, robberies, they have to go and do their hard time. But also, when they finish, they've got to be given a chance to be out rehabilitated as well. You can't just, once they do that.
Because it serves the rest of us, doesn't it, if they are?
Of course it does, because you don't want to send an embittered man out, a violent embittered man out, embittered and violent back into society.
Or even more deeply embittered and violent. Thank you, Steve. Great to talk to you, Steve, in Guildford. It's 1:45.
LBC, Nick Ferrari at breakfast with Tom Swarbrick. Operation Early Dawn, previously used back in May to release prisoners early to free up prison space. Steve's in Brighton.
If you delegate the decision about who's going to prison today, not to the judiciary, that's the magistrates and the Crown Court judges, you delegate that back down to police officers, court clerks, the CPS, and perhaps the prison service too, then the check and balance that the magistrates bring to that individual's liberty is gone.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast with Tom Swarbrick. Back tomorrow morning from 7. Listen on your radio and on Global Player, LBC.
Get 2 Co-op Stone-Baked pizzas, a tub of Ben & Jerry's, and a movie for Co-op members. All for £5. That's movie nights in. Done right. Non-member price £6, ends 27th of August, subject to availability. Movie available to Co-op members only. See T's and C's at coopmovie.co.uk. Selected products and stores excludes independent cooperative stores. Get yours in a blink and for less than you think. For a reasonable price. Printing sources.
Online half price.
Hurry, the Hillary Summer Sale ends soon. It's your last chance to save up to 50% off a huge range of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. And your last chance to get our smart hubs for half price, helping you control your electric blinds from anywhere. And with blinds made, measured and fitted from just £50, that's a fabulous finish at great value. So why risk getting it wrong at your windows? Book your free in-home appointment today. Visit hillarys.co.uk. Hurry, Hillary Summer Sale ends 27th of August. Conditions apply.
Sheila Fogarty on LBC.
Let's get back to your calls. Bob has called from Manchester to carry on a conversation about prisons. Hi, Bob.
Hello?
Hello there. You've done a few months in prison yourself.
Yes.
As a prisoner?
Yeah.
Okay. And
So,
what are your reflections then on all of this?
well, first of all, I agree with quite a lot of what your previous caller was saying, actually. And I think he possibly got close to sort of what I was going to say, or he raised the subject anyway. I was in prison about 6 years ago. The situation then was that it was overcrowded then. But there was a lot of people, and possibly including myself, that the general view was that sometime before that we would have been on tag. Okay?
Instead of prison.
Yeah. But nobody was being tagged at that time. The prisons, this prison and a lot of other prisons, got privatised. Yeah?
Can I ask which prison you were in? Was it in Manchester?
It was in Manchester. It wasn't Strangeways, it was the other one. Right, which is called Forest Bank, which tends to be shorter term, lower risk prisoners, alright?
Yeah.
Although there were some long term prisoners in there. It was owned by a cash and carrying grocery company that I can't name, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But they supplied all the goods that you could buy on your canteen, as they call it. Yeah, you know, you buy up. They own the prison. Effectively, they profited from putting people in prison, from imprisoning people. Obviously, they weren't doing it for charitable reasons.
Yeah.
No, they supplied all the cash and carry goods, some of which were overpriced. One of the prisoners actually managed to sort that problem out with the governor, that they were being... The view of the prisoners and the view of a lot of other people was that people weren't getting tagged because it was profitable to put them in prison for the people who were in prison. You see what I mean?
I do. I don't know whether that was the reason they weren't getting tagged, but
Well, the point is nobody was getting tagged, and this situation had occurred since the privatised prisons came in.
what kind of crimes are we talking about here?
Low-level crimes,
Such as?
you know, sort of, I don't know, domestics, minor
Domestic what?
theft. Oh, people were in for things like, you know, low-level harassment, not even violence. There was people that were in for, sort of things like, there were kids who were in there for stabbing people non-fatally, or...
Well, that's just a stroke of luck, isn't it?
That's it, or car theft. There were people who were in there who should have been in there. But there were
I think the
also
stabbing
people-
should have been in there, shouldn't it?
Yeah, the stabbing should be. But there were people who were in there who definitely, in the opinion of the prison officers, the prisoners, would 2 or 3 years earlier have been taxed.
So you're saying there's a profit incentive to shove them in jail?
I'm saying that the privatised prison system, because it profits from putting people in prison, it will lobby to have people into prison.
But hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Hang on. The judges decide who goes to prison, not the private owners of jails.
Decide according to a set of guidelines and the general policy of the Ministry of Justice. You know, for minor offences, nobody's sitting around for days figuring out what to do. It's all routine. You know, people go into the magistrate's court, 5 minutes later, they're in prison.
Yes, but the owner of the company that runs the prison isn't deciding on who goes to jail and who doesn't.
No, of course not. But the Ministry of Justice is invested in this system that it has created, and it has an obligation, doesn't it, to the people that it sold the prisons to. You know, it's not.
Well, they're part of the prison
when
estate.
it sells them the prisons, it's not saying, oh, we'll send it to prison, we won't put anyone in it.
No, but they're part of the prison estate, and that's overcrowded as well.
The whole prison estate is overcrowded, but if you overcrowd one bit of it, you should overcrowd all of it, aren't you?
Okay, thanks Bob for your call, Bob in Manchester. Tony says, taking the wider look, how about making all the innocent people that have been locked up the main priority? And Big Mac says, I'm working with 2 people right now, one with a tag on and one from an open prison. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Big Mac. And Tony for your texts. Nicholas is called from Bradford. Hi, Nicholas.
Oh, hello. I thought I'd just give you a ring and give you a little bit of my history, which was 40 odd years ago. A professional person who helped out on keeping up my payments in revenue. Now, if you do this, and they've taken a court order against you, you are liable for contempt of court. Now, if you are found liable in contempt of court, it is an immediate custodial sentence. Well, I knew this when I thought, surely they won't do this to me. No, they did. I was taken by the bailiffs 28 days. I only served half, but it opened my eyes to prison. I would never have experienced, and I never will, thank God. But I was taken in, I had to share a cell with a guy, and I was given a minder. One of the other inmates, who the warder came up and said, this is Nate, and look after him because he shouldn't really be here. So he took a liking to me, and I was introduced to some of the others at free time. And it was so amazing because not many of them could read or write. So they found out who didn't find out much about me, but they realised I was educated and I could read and write. So I used to read their letters from home and write them back, you see. So I became quite a celebrity for a couple of weeks. But the interesting thing was listening to the conversations. You see, there were 2 or 3 golden rules. You never asked anybody why they were there, because they were all convinced they were innocent or they were very, very hard done by. And you see, some of them were so hardened, they had nowhere else to go. Even at Christmas and Easter and back on. So they deliberately went out and came back in again.
Do you think
and they had a scale of prisons, do you know?
Yeah. Do you think, Nicholas, that as a society, we who are not in prison or have never been in prison need to be kinder about a lot of prisoners than we are?
Oh yes, certainly. Now, it depends what they've done, of course, but yes, I don't think that does any harm at all. You see, some of them are there by virtue of their background. They've never known anything else. Can you imagine somebody in these ages of 17, 18, 19, 20, can't read all right, and they've no life, they've nothing to look forward to, nobody came to visit them, and that was the only life they knew. Now, I would stress, prisons have to have more, importantly than anything else, a deterrent. That is the key factor, a deterrent, so nobody wants to go inside. However, one can lose their heads like we've seen in riots, like we've seen all these demonstrations, and the government have taken a firm stand and they're right. Even the woman that was on Facebook, they're right.
It's a mixture of things, isn't it? Deterrent, punishment, protection for the rest of us in some cases. It's a mixture of things, but I do think, and it isn't just James Timpson's company that's done this great work, but the work that Timpsons have done over the years, and understanding that he illustrates and shows about prisoners is a fascinating one, I think. Thanks very much, Nicholas, for your call. That's Nicholas in Bradford. I was thinking as well, because after 2 we're going to talk about how we police our children. This report from the Children's Commissioner, Dame Rachel de Souza, showing that from 2018 to the middle of last year, 2023, police conducted almost 3,500 child strip searches, and